You're watching NewsdayTV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Bufa. A library custodian pleaded guilty to rape and endangering the welfare of a child. Quasi McCorvey was the head custodian at the Wyandanch Public Library. The 51-year-old Farmingdale man was accused of raping a 16-year-old girl. The victim also filed a $30 million claim against the library, saying officials knew what was going on but did not do anything about it. McCorvey's sentence includes probation and having to register as a sex offender. An FDNY EMT was sentenced to 3 to 9 years in prison today for allegedly driving drunk and causing a woman to lose both her legs. Sherry Einhorn spoke to the victim, who says the defendant deserves to, quote, rot in prison.
This is not a life I would wish for anyone.
Dejanay Vanderveer, a 37-year-old mother from Rockville Center, says she's struggling to rebuild her life after losing both of her legs to a drunk driver.
It's just more expensive, more cumbersome, more trouble, more difficulties.
25-year-old Kevin Rosas-Daki is a Marine reservist and an EMT from Brooklyn who was working for the FDNY at the time. He pled guilty to aggravated vehicular assault, aggravated DWI, and reckless driving, and was sentenced to 3 to 9 years. Inside the courtroom, the prosecutor told the judge that at the time of the crash, the defendant had a blood alcohol level nearly 3 times the legal limit, was speeding at 78 miles an hour in a work zone while trying to pass another vehicle on the right side. Prosecutors said Vanderveer was pulled over on the Sagticos Parkway after getting a flat tire. She was getting the spare out of her trunk when Rosas-Daki crashed into her, severing her legs. The defendant spoke directly to Vanderveer in court, saying in part, "I'm not some heartless monster. I'm just a human being like you."
What he said was he thinks about her every day. He's very sorry for what he did. He can't hit a button and go back in time. And he wishes he could be there for her and in the future.
It's a future she says will now be 1,000 times more difficult because of his actions.
I'm able to do a lot of things I was able to do before. It's just different and harder.
In court, she told him, "You deserve to rot in prison. Feel your freedom be restricted, as it will forever be for me." In Riverhead, I'm Sherry Einhorn for NewsdayTV.
New York City has dropped its lawsuit against Riverhead over the relocation of migrants.
It's not a matter of being celebrating. It's a matter of protecting my town and protecting our homeless population.
The supervisor says they are working with 3 homeless encampments and claims veterans make up most of the homeless population in Riverhead. And the president's son, Hunter Biden, has been indicted on federal gun charges. According to the indictment, Biden is accused of lying about his drug use when he bought a gun in 2018, a time when he was admitted to struggling with crack cocaine addiction. The 53-year-old has also been under investigation for business dealings. The special counsel handling the case has also hinted Biden could be charged with failure to pay taxes. And Madison Square Garden has gotten a 5-year extension. The New York City Council voted on the short-term permit, providing the arena will do more to help improve Penn Station. The deal allows MSG to hold events with more than 2,500 people in it. It comes as the state works on an $8 billion plan to reconstruct Penn Station, which is located under the Garden. And a piece of history has landed in Garden City. An F-14 Tomcat was unveiled at the Cradle of Aviation Museum today. Macy Eglin has the story.
A new home for an important piece of Long Island's history. This F-14 Tomcat, affectionately known as Felix, now proudly displayed out front of the Cradle of Aviation Museum.
This is one of the most beautiful Tomcats you will find anywhere.
For years, this aircraft has been at the former Grumman property in Bethpage, but there were concerns about its future when the property was sold. So it was dismantled and carefully moved 6 miles away in the middle of the night down Hempstead Turnpike to the museum.
It took months to fully restore this Tomcat. It's been cleared out, sandblasted, and repainted to look good as new. Paid for by Grumman, but most of the work was done by volunteers.
There was nothing. It was just a shell. And we built it up to this.
The condition it was in was pretty poor when it first moved here. It was full of birds' nests and full of, I think, rodents' nests and things like that. It had sat outside for 20 years.
Many of the volunteers who helped in the effort flew 714s or worked for Grumman and built them. 712 Tomcats were manufactured here on Long Island, and this aircraft was the last of them to fly. Now it's landed in its permanent place where these men and women say it belongs.
I really enjoy it. That's my baby.
Reporting for Newsday TV in Uniondale, I'm Macy Egland.
Volunteers came together today to help clean up a job training center. Now, the center named Workforce will train people with special needs. These trainings will apply to multiple industries like cooking, auto mechanics, computer skills, and more. The center is expected to open early next year. And Hurricane Lee is expected to miss Long Island, but it's still growing as it barrels up the East Coast. Meteorologist Bill Corbell breaks it all down.
Hurricane Lee continues to make its way northward in the Atlantic, but fortunately far offshore. That's the important thing for us. We're not going to be hit by a hurricane. Some of the peripheral conditions, yes, but the storm center way east of us. It may be 250 miles east of Montauk, in fact. Still, we'll get some effects, even though it's that far out. The main deal will be the big surf, and it's already blowing in along the South Shore with big waves. 8 to 12 foot surfs, a little bit of beach erosion, maybe a touch of minor coastal flooding, and not much wind. It's going to be a windy day, especially in the East End, with gusts up to about 40 miles per hour, but the West End, maybe 25, 30. In fact, western parts of Long Island, you might say, what hurricane? Except along the South Shore, we see those big waves. The yellow indicates where winds are 39 miles per hour or more. There is Long Island, there's Montauk, and you can see it's very close. That's where you get most of the gusts, but they'll get hit by a weakening Category 1 hurricane as it goes into Maine. Rainfall, probably not. Again, it'll be close to the East End. I wouldn't rule out a shower over the Twin Forks, but the west end of the island, as we head into Saturday and it goes by, you might even get to see some sunshine in the afternoon. So again, the important thing, the main impact for us, the high surf along the South Shore, big waves pounding in, and some minor coastal flooding and also some gusty winds on the far East End. And we're lucky because had this storm been farther west, it would have been a totally different deal. As it is, 8 to 12 foot waves for us. They've been crashing in all along the South Shore. And look at this view out in the Hamptons. This was early in the day. Just amazing. So big waves, some wind, that'll be the effect from Hurricane Lee on us. For Newsday TV, I'm meteorologist Bill Corbell.
All right, let's take a look at your Long Island weather. And when you were outside today, it felt like fall, y'all. It was real nice. So taking a look at tomorrow, you can see mostly cloudy skies with temps in the upper 60s, if not low 70s.
Long Island weather is brought to you by King O'Rourke Automotive Group.
We're rolling out Newsday's Fall Fun Book. It has everything you need to know about the season's best festivals, dining out, and key guides on where to go apple and pumpkin picking. Lisa DiStefano gives us a deep dive.
Take your pick. Here are fun ways to kickstart fall. Apple picking season has started at some of our local orchards. At Windy Acres in Calverton, they grow 30 varieties. Right now, it's prime picking for galas and autumn crisps. Ripe and ready. If you didn't make it out to see sunflowers this summer, some are still blooming. You can frolic in the fields at Water Drinker North Fork in Riverhead. And at their Manorville location, you can even pick your own through Halloween, Mother Nature permitting. For a true taste of the season, the Riverhead Cider House is serving their fall flavors. Honeycrisp Bolts, Apple Annie, and Cinnamon Toast ciders are on tap. You can create a fall flight and sample them all. Luckily for me, they have a non-alcoholic option, sparkling apple cider. So here's to a fun fall. Elisa DiStefano, Newsday TV. Really good. Cheers.
All right, you can find your fun book in your mailbox this Sunday. And if you'd like to get the next edition of the fun book sent to your house, become a Newsday Home subscriber. Now, for more on fall things to do, go to Newsday.com, click Get More below the Newsday TV video box. Now, thanks to Hollywood strikes, most of your TV programming will be reruns, sports, and reality TV. Macy Eglin and Vern Gay have the story you'll see only in Newsday.
We could see some big changes to some of your favorite TV shows and news shows this fall. Vern Gay, Newsday's TV writer and critic, has been following this writer strike that's really going to mess with the fall schedule. Talk to me about where we're at with this strike right now.
Macy, we're over 130 days in. It's thrown the entire industry into turmoil, and schedules are a mess.
So much uncertainty. So what do we know for sure? Like, what changes will we see in this schedule, and what shows will be affected?
The best way to think of this fall schedule coming up on the linear or networks themselves, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, is to think of a lot of reality, a lot of game shows, and a lot of, if you will, supersized established shows, Survivor, Amazing Race.
And American Horror Story, we know a lot of people following that because it was shot partly on Long Island in Huntington. What's going on with that?
Well, the funky thing about American Horror Story with Kim Kardashian, I might add, is that it's going to be, you're only going to see half of the season.
That's wild. So no resolution as we see it right now. So we won't see the rest of these shows until they're written and filmed. So what's going to fill the space in the meantime?
Well, in the meantime, you've got, as I say, a lot of reality, but one of the big shows that's going to come up is called The Golden Bachelor, which is a spin-off of The Bachelor and Bachelorette.
I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. So reality TV, but also football. Sounds like it's been maybe a saving grace.
Well, it's a saving grace for the networks, not for the writers. This is one of the problems the writers are facing. Football being the most important programming element on any of the major networks means you're less reliant on scripted. You really have this situation where there's no resolution. The networks aren't in necessarily a big hurry to get things taken care of because they can just keep airing repeats, and they've got football.
So if you're a football fan, good. Otherwise, a lot of reruns in our future.
Or unless you want to see The Golden Bachelor.
All right. So. Reality TV.
Okay.
Thanks, Vern.
Thank you, Macy.
To read more on the fall TV preview, go to Newsday.com. Click Get More below the Newsday TV video box.
What's Up on Long Island is brought to you by PC Richard & Son.
All right, here's what's up on Long Island.
Just some good old boys and good old girls, some red dirt dreams and a concrete world getting by.
See Zach Brown Band. They're from the Fire Tour, stops at Jones Beach. See them Saturday or Sunday. Hey, check out the Long Island Light and Music Fest. It's Saturday at the NYCB Theater in Westbury. Or head to Green Lawn for this big deal, the Long Island Pickle Festival. Enjoy pickles of every flavor and size, including on a stick, or my favorite, fried. It's Saturday. Now for admission info and more events, click Get More below the Newsday TV video box.
I bring to light issues that are happening in schools, in police departments that matter to Long Island that they didn't know about. This is a story about an issue that they needed to know the answers to.
Newsday, covering Long Island like no one else can.
You're watching Newsday TV. I'm Ken Buffa. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll leave you now with a look at your 7-day forecast.